Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. You're here for SmartOrg's webinar about mapping, measuring, and maximizing your opportunities with Portfolio Navigator. My name is Doug Williams. I lead the innovation practice at SmartOrg. I'm joined here by David Matheson, President and CEO of SmartOrg.
Hello.
We're going to get right into it in just a moment, but we have a few housekeeping items we'd like to touch on first. I think many of you have seen the note in the chat already, so you know how the chat works. Please chime in with where you're dialing in from. We'd love to see where, which parts of the country or the world we have representation. I see some folks in Colorado and Norway and Vancouver, so welcome everyone. We're going to be using the chat function throughout the webinar as our means of fielding questions from you. So as you're listening in, if you have a question for myself or for David, please don't hesitate, drop it into the chat. We'll be monitoring those and addressing them in real time during the webinar. If you happen to ask a question that's a little too big for our format, have no fear, we'll keep track of those and we'll follow up with you via email afterwards. Slides will be available for download. And in fact, if you are interested, you can even request them right now. That little button there will take you to a form where you can fill out and get the slides downloaded. We'll present this to you intermittently throughout the day. And finally, we are recording this webinar. You will be notified automatically once it is ready for viewing. So you'll see an email from the system when that is ready to go. With that being said, I think we can probably dive in. We're going to be sharing some insights about Portfolio Navigator and how it drives strategic business outcomes. We'll do some show and tell with the software as well. But to get started, we wanted to try to bring some of the business outcomes that we all are focusing on to life. Maybe some of these scenarios will sound familiar. The first one is about cutting clutter by killing a pet project.
Well, sir, I've been analyzing the portfolio and helping you rack and stack everything. And of course, we've discovered that this list right here of incredibly important projects is getting done. But, at that point, we're really out of resources. And if we fund more, we're just going to cheat everything. So far, so good. There's one small hiccup, which is those projects aren't enough to achieve our financial business goals. So I'm afraid we might have to go try to renegotiate those goals.
Well, I'm the executive here, and what I say goes. And I see you have a project on here that you have opted to cut, but there's no way we are funding this project.
Well, that will help us achieve the goals, but we just don't have any resources. I don't know what you want us to do. You're asking us to do the impossible here.
Well, I'll get you those resources because I'm canceling Project X.
You're canceling Project X. You didn't even let us put that in the portfolio evaluation.
I know it. It's my pet project. I haven't allowed it to be part of the portfolio analysis because I thought it was strategic and really needed to move forward no matter what. But I see now that my own bias was getting in the way of good decision making. And that's obviously preventing us from getting to those goals that we all are trying for. So we've got better objective data now in our portfolio. And I can see that it's clear this pet project has got to go.
Well, thank you. Yes, sir. We'll make that happen.
Awesome. So take a moment and consider, how important is it to you that you cut clutter in your portfolio? And please just jot it down on the side of your desk there. It's not important. It's somewhat important. It's very important. We'll come back to that a little later. In the meantime, let's go to our second scenario, which is about finding hidden upside.
Well, sir, here is our most strategic project. And sadly, I have to report here, I've done the analysis and it's really got a terrible NPV. The basic, I'm assuming these guys are technically successful, but the basic problem is this product has to get bought by OEMs and put in products. And the timeline is just so long to get sales. The thing's just upside down financially. So I'm afraid we can't really fund this one.
Well, I'm the project leader here. I can tell you this project is strategic. We really need to do it no matter what. I'm sure there must be some different assumptions you can plug into your model that will make it look better.
Well, wait a minute. I'm not just going to make this look better by changing some number. This timeline problem is a real problem.
So you're saying we need to find an OEM to be able to give this some great NPV? Like I can't influence that. Right now, we're just focused on our pilot with one end user customer.
Well, that is a good thought about the OEM. If you could get the OEM to standardize on this, then that really would solve the timeline problem. What can you do anything about that?
I don't have that kind of weight. Who do you know that might be able to help us?
I'm going to be the executive now because I have a tie. See, wait, you guys are telling me that if we can get the OEM to standardize on this product, that would solve the business case problem. All right, you said you can't influence the OEM, but maybe I can. Let me make a call. All right, here's the deal. The OEM is very interested, but the problem is they don't have any pilot project. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn our pilot into their pilot, and we're going to do it jointly. And that way, after you've demonstrated technical success, then they will also have the information they need to really make a commitment. And that should solve this timeline problem.
Excellent. So finding hidden upside in a project that didn't appear to have any. How important is that as you manage the projects in your portfolio? Again, just jot down somewhat important, not very important for me. And we'll move on. A little bit about SmartOrg as we get going here. So we've been in business for over 25 years. We have software and services available, and we are really all about helping to improve business outcomes through portfolio decisions. As you can see, we've worked with a variety of companies across a wide range of industries. And our experience has given us visibility into a lot of different patterns that exist in the sense of portfolio management. And some of those patterns are good, and some of those patterns are not so good. What's important here is that we've been able to bake the good stuff into our software and make it replicable. And that's going to help you avoid the bad stuff. So one of the patterns that we've seen is that everyone is working towards a business outcome. Every best practice, every job to be done has a business result that's driving it. So we'd like to ask you to chime in the chat. What business outcomes are you working toward? There's some listed here: delivering on financial goals, cutting clutter, driving upside. We talked about those in our scenarios. Take a moment and share in the chat which of these outcomes are important to you, and just put in the number for the response. And if you happen to have an other that's not on this list, then please add a 7 and an other and provide a little color commentary there. So we'll give you a few moments to do that. And what we're going to do is try to compile this data in the background here and share back these results at the end of the webinar.
Ray says translating uncertainty into opportunity. I guess that's an other. Tony's on find new growth goals.
Daniel, cutting clutter and pet projects.
An interesting one, identifying better options.
Right.
Yeah, improve corporate valuation. One of those companies on that list, a couple of them actually had used Portfolio Navigator to improve their valuation in a transaction, because you often can't get value for your R&D pipeline in a transaction. Find new growth, cutting clutter, find new growth. Okay, so there's a lot about growing, basically, and a number of interesting things there.
So what we know is that there are a lot of software tools out there, and many of them focus on creating nice, pretty dashboards and roll-ups, as if that's really the key to decision making. But we all really know that that's not correct. And that's embodied in this little cartoon here. So here we have Dogbert Consultants saying, you need a dashboard application to track your key metrics. That way, you'll have even more data to ignore when you make your decision based on company politics. Well, will the data be accurate? Okay, let's pretend that even matters. So you can see, as we've shown in the Dilbert cartoon, one of the patterns that what we've noticed when working with these companies is that it's really not about the data. The underlying root causes of underperforming portfolios are really human and organizational. So, for example, pet projects, that's the emotional attachment to a project that shouldn't really exist in the portfolio, or maybe the unrealistic assumptions that are being used to make a project appear better than it actually is. So there's lots of these root causes on this list. Maybe you've seen some of these, maybe you've seen some others. The important thing to know is that Portfolio Navigator has been designed as a system to be responsive to these problem areas, not just to create another set of data that gets ignored. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to David now, who's going to talk us through some scenarios and customer stories to illustrate that point.
Well, so I'm going to show you a little bit about Portfolio Navigator and what people have done with it. And I started to scratch my head because how do you demonstrate a really robust platform? I mean, it can be configured to help companies address any of these problems and has plenty of features. And I thought boring you with a relentless feature slog would not be a good use of anybody's time. So I thought we might focus on the vignettes and sort of tell those stories again, elaborate a little bit through the lens of kind of software and show you how companies have used Portfolio Navigator to drive better business outcomes. So we have this company called Crazy Co here. This is a Portfolio Navigator view for Crazy Co. On the left, where it says navigation, you can see that Crazy Co. has four divisions: a consumer products division, household appliances, sporting good, and office products. It's currently using Portfolio Navigator to evaluate and track its projects. It also did the same thing last year. So this is in a process, and you can see there's last year's portfolio also, which can be the basis for comparison and understanding how things are changing. On the right, you can see the various kinds of things that Portfolio Navigator can do with a portfolio. These are pretty flexible, and this particular one has been configured to allow for comparisons among projects, rolling things up into financial statements, doing optimization, various kinds of analysis, and so on. And I've happened to selected the CFO chart, which in portfolio lingo is something called an efficient frontier. This shows you the return on investment of all the projects in the portfolio. Sometimes this is called a creaming curve, and it's a pretty helpful optimization chart. It's also a great example of something that people think is really important, and certainly it is important, but it's usually not the top question people have. If you want to maximize your return on investment, sure, everybody says that, but it doesn't get at some of the underlying issues about why people make choices. So I want to sort of get behind the optimization and think of this maybe as the last chart you'd want to consider after you've dealt with other kinds of issues that lurk in these portfolios. So let's focus on driving upside. And let me start with a little quote from Alexa Dumbeck of DuPont, who talked about this publicly. And this is from a few years ago, so it's old enough information that the guilty don't care anymore. But she said at a conference, SmartOrg allowed us to have a framework to align the entire business. What we did allowed the portfolio to deliver 3x what it would have delivered had we not had any change. So that's a kind of storyline about driving upside. But let's look at some data too, because data really does matter if you're going to be objective. So we'll look at the case of a quick view of the case of Rogers. Now, Rogers is a materials company, and Sean Williams gave a little presentation at a conference a few years ago, and he had used Portfolio Navigator and did a study here of what the before and after was. And his view was this is how you get a mature company gets its innovation portfolio in better shape. So what I want to focus on here is the returns from the portfolio. So the before portfolio was putting in 17 million and getting 90 million out. The new portfolio was putting in 24 and getting 235 out. So it's tremendous improvement in the return. In fact, because they cleaned up the portfolio, they actually got more investment. So in an era of sort of cost cutting and concern because the portfolio had mediocre results, they flipped that around by focusing on better projects and getting better results. So there's the kind of real examples. Now let me go back to Crazy Co. and let's talk about how an individual project gets evaluated and how you might find upside. So here we're looking at a project called breast strips. And if you look closely on the left, we're looking at last year's version of breast strips. So I'm going to, as the story evolves, I'm going to move it forward in time so you can see how this evolves. But this is our view as of last year. And what's in the middle is a kind of simple business case in a mature year in the future. So we're going to make this product and launch it, and it's going to ramp up. And where do we think we can get? And so it's got various figures of merit or various analytical elements, market size, market share, and so on, and ultimately produces a financial value there at the bottom. We've got gross margin. Portfolio Navigator can really do any kind of analysis you want. This is a sort of example one of doing a business case. Now, this is pretty much how things work. In most portfolio processes, you have some kind of business case somewhere. And Portfolio Navigator really can create business cases for you. So you put in these assumptions and then go on, and it will do not only a single year, but it will do multi-year evaluation if you want. So we go to the next one, please, and give you various kinds of graphs and analyses. And here's a view of the sort of timeline. In the blue line, you see the ramp up of revenue, functioning of this project over many years, and then a decline at its end of life. And then the yellow line shows the cash flows associated with that. The thing is, this has an NPV of 7.94. So that's a financial figure of merit. And for this company, it's pretty mediocre. Their ambitions are more like 100 million. So are you ready to kill it? Well, what you find is that as soon as you try to kill a project with a small NPV that anybody cares about, people will come forward and say, well, what about? And if only, and there's hope. And last time we killed something like this, it ultimately led to a success. There's a lot of reasons not to kill a project, and people move away from the financial criteria. We have found that this issue really is often resolved around uncertainty. That is, different people have different views about how a project might work out. So rather than negotiate assumptions like was suggested in our early vignette, we think it's much better to express the uncertainty. So if you go to the next one, let's look at the critical assumptions here around, for example, market size and market share and selling price. And in this particular evaluation template, we've provided for a range of uncertainty around market size. So you can see at the bottom, it goes from 150,000, and at the top, it goes to 700,000 with a best estimate of 300,000. So that's a pretty big range of uncertainty. And it's if you're an analyst, you just care about the numbers and you want to get a range. We found, and we've provided for in Portfolio Navigator, getting to the causal scenarios underlying those assessments. So let's go look at the causal scenario. So if you open this up and track, go to the next slide, please. You can see the reasons for the high are a bad breath epidemic accelerating, children's segment opens up, or a dental endorsement. And low, maybe mouthwash and toothbrushing are adequate, or social distancing continues, so people don't care about these breast strips so much. So those are the kind of causal reasons behind these different numbers. So we've done that for basically all the parameters in the model. Now, if you say, well, what are the implications of these different scenarios or assumptions? You can see that on the tornado diagram in the next slide, because different assumptions lead to different business cases. What this is showing, that the scale across the top is the NPV figure of merit, and that vertical line is the base case business case of 7.94. But what the horizontal bars are showing is how much that business case changes if the input assumption changes. So that bar at the top is the market size number. And as it goes to the right, if this market size grows to 700, the business case goes up to around 70 million. Pretty promising for a company that's trying to get towards $100 million projects. On the other hand, if the market shrinks to 150, and that turns out how to be it, you can see this goes down to a negative 15. And so this is not good at all. So that assumption about market size is the most important uncertainty in this project, has the greatest impact on the business case. The other uncertainties around market share and selling price and costs and so on, while they're important and they change the value in the business case, they really don't have quite the significance of that one. So the point about finding hidden upside is not to say what's our risk return profile here, but rather, what can we do about this? So go back to what the causal scenarios are, if you advance this, for market size. And maybe we could actually go for a dental endorsement. So in many companies, like we illustrate in our vignette, they sort of charge down a technical path and haven't really thought through all of the things that drive the business case. So here, while technically developing the business case, maybe we could go for a dental endorsement, and that would open up our market size. So that's where it was last year. They took a mediocre product and said, yeah, I mean, we're not going to go full steam ahead. We're going to go get this dental endorsement, do a minimum amount of technical work to kind of keep this going. And now we're going to jump forward in time and look at this not last year, but this year. So what we find is after doing that work, the dental endorsement is achieved. And so here we're looking, if you look on the left, you'll see it's comparing breast strips in the blue there under the current year with last year's view, which is what we were just looking at a moment ago. And you can see I've circled in red where the assumptions have changed. So that base assumption of 300K has gone up to 500K because the dentist has a basic impact, pretty significant. It doesn't change the total number of people who might possibly be involved. So on the right there, the 700 is the same. It also reduces the downside scenario a little bit because the dental endorsement will bring some skeptics along who would otherwise have not done this. So it protects you on the downside as well as moving up the middle. Now, one thing we often find when companies start going after the most uncertain factors and unpacking those scenarios that really drive the upside is that there's a high learning environment. So in this example, if we go to the next one, turns out the dentists are also interested in being a channel. So we're not just going to sell these breath strips through retail, we're going to sell them through dental offices as well. And that improves the market share. And you can see across the way, market share assumptions have gone up a little bit. And so here we have an earlier project that has a wide ranges of uncertainty. And then the new project gets new evidence to update those values. So let's go and look at what happens to the business cases. So here I'm comparing in Portfolio Navigator the two tornado diagram uncertainty analysis. The one on the left is the one we saw before. It's now orange. It was blue earlier. Now it's orange, meaning last year. And you can see that's got the 7.94 business case value where that vertical line is. The new one is way over there on the right at around 90. And so it's a significant increase in the base scenario and also a whole general shift to the right of all the scenarios. Now, one of the things about doing it this way is that you can really see progress even though it remains uncertain. So in the middle, say something around 30, if you look at the orange case, you could have rewritten the assumptions to give you a 30 business case. And that would have been very optimistic. In the blue scenario, now that we've actually changed the evidence, you could still use that business case, but now it would be pessimistic. And so you wouldn't see any progress if you weren't tracking the portfolio in this kind of way. So the reduction and improvement of uncertainty is a very critical method of driving the upside. Now, this is a kind of, it's a demo kind of example. Let's go on to a real example from an agricultural company that was doing this for many years. They didn't present this publicly, so we'll just keep their identity quiet. But one of the neat things about agriculture is that the product lifelines are pretty long, so things unfold in slow motion, and you can really see it happen. So in 2010, they had a new product, and they did their initial business case. They called that the promise. So you can see that's the blue line there on the left. And then they had a tornado diagram, and they understood what factors really drove the business case and pursued them. So every year they reevaluated the project, and most years the value goes up. There's a big jump in 2013 when they open up a new market segment, a big jump in 2015 when they figure out a way to change the pricing, and so on. So those improvements over time result in like a 5x increase in the value of this project. Their conclusion was that value seeking is better than promise keeping in a portfolio. And the effect of this on a portfolio is tremendous. We've done some work in this area, and maybe 1 in 7 or 1 in 8 projects have this kind of possibility. And if just one of those performs like this, that 5x increase is worth a lot of the mediocre projects. So, we hang on to these small ones because we don't see the opportunity cost of the potential from the bigger ones and being able to drive their upsides like this. So that's my story about driving upside and how companies have used that. Doug, we got any questions?
Actually, we don't have any questions specifically. I've asked for some in the chat here. So I think we must have a pretty knowledgeable crew here.
Okay.
We may as well
let's
keep it and go on to the next topic, which is
cutting clutter.
Cutting clutter.
Yeah. So one of the reasons people hang on to projects is because they don't realize the opportunity cost of these projects. Little projects seem like they're low resource, they're small, they're easy, but that often is incredibly expensive. As I suggested, if you have a project with hidden upside, it can be really that is displaced. It's a huge cost. So let me give you an example here from Jeff Jeffers of Scholey Corp. He said, with Portfolio Navigator, we were able to reduce the number of projects by 80% while at the same time doubling portfolio returns. The result was a corporate-wide shift in attention to activities that created new value rather than simply interesting technologies, urgent demands, or, quote, strategic priorities. So they had a bit of a big traffic jam in their world, and they were trying to use project management systems to get more projects to flow. And it wasn't really working because they just had too much in there. So this really gave them focus. And let me give you sort of a data version of that from Kevin Kimber of Chevron, who talks about accelerating the deployment of technology to business opportunity. Let's go to his little table. So he did a careful study, and again, he went public with this between 2003 and 2004 when they did their test period. They found improvement across ideas screened, projects initiated, projects deployed, and projects terminated. And Kevin's comment was the critical one here is the projects terminated. So by being able to double their kill rate on the projects, they opened up the portfolio, they reduced the need for careful resource management and allowed flow into the projects where there was really upside and potential. So pretty significant improvements. So let's move back to Crazy Co and Portfolio Navigator. Now, Portfolio Navigator can do comparisons and all the kinds of things you'd expect with dashboards. And here we are looking again at the last year portfolio. And we're now comparing the value of all the projects in the portfolio. So you can see oven and flushables on the top. And at the bottom, we have pour, zip, choose, and banana peeler. And many portfolio systems will have a sort of forced ranking metric. And the sort of naive MBA theory is, well, you fund the ones at the top and let them go with great accelerity and velocity, and you kill the ones at the bottom. But of course, there's always somebody who says, well, wait, but the assumptions are wrong, or the business case is wrong, or there are strategic reasons, or whatever they happen to say. And so that conversation tends to get hiccups, and people complicate things trying to resolve that issue. So forced ranking dashboards don't tell the old story. Ray's asking, are the same values as the base case in the tornado? The answer is basically yes. There's some small asterisks there, but yes. So let's go back to this theme of uncertainty. So one of the patterns we've seen is that uncertainty really clouds and confuses decision-making in many organizations. So let's just shine a spotlight on it. And so if we go to the next one, we're now looking at a summary of every tornado diagram for every project. So we see the full range of business cases that you could make and defend for all those projects. And flushables and oven are still at the top, and zip shoes and banana peeler are still at the bottom. Now, let's take a look at breast strips, because we talked about it before. So breast strips looked like a pretty mediocre project before, and it was going to be a candidate to be shot. However, you can see that breast strips has a very significant upside. The bar on breast strips is wide, and there's a lot of room to the right. So this is something that maybe can be rehabilitated or driven towards its upside. Or said another way, maybe it was a big idea hidden inside a small project. On the other hand, the one right below it, Sir Mix-a-Little, which has a very similar base value, doesn't have any hope. And there really isn't a scenario that that makes this valuable or drives upside a lot. And again, just to kind of calibrate, their target is to generate 100 million kind of units. So they're getting to 70 is pretty good, but 5 or 10 is really not much. So little projects hide upside potential, which makes it very hard to cut them. So you got to figure out which ones have upside potential and treat them accordingly. Probably Zip Shoes is a goner here. So then, but the turns out the reverse is also true, which is that big projects that you just put a lot behind often don't get questioned enough. So let's take a look at flushables and oven. So these are the top projects, and those project leaders are going away, and they have all kinds of power to just do what they want to do and what needs to get done. And they both have a lot of uncertainty. But if you look closely at flushables, for example, the downside of that business case is still over 100. So that's not a terrible outcome. On the other hand, oven has scenarios that are truly mediocre. So that business case, while it looks great, really could unwind very significantly. And if you just go ahead with great velocity, you're going to miss the risk reduction and cross-checking you need to make sure that really delivers. So we have found that managing uncertainty and bringing uncertainty in the forelight, which Portfolio Navigator makes very easy, really can cut through a lot of these sort of conflicts and misunderstandings that happen in organizations. So now we've got some projects that have upside. We have some projects that have downside. To really get to the bottom of improving your portfolio, it's often very helpful to add one more dimension of uncertainty, which is illustrated in this next cartoon. As this is your project, your proposal, Cosgrove, its failure could mean the end of your career. I think, however, that's an acceptable risk. So what happens when the possibility of project failure is around or project success, and how does that really pack into your portfolio? So we have found it very helpful to add something called the innovation screen here. On the x-axis is the net present value. Like I first showed you in that forced ranking, what is the value of the project? So you see on the right, oven and flushables are big, energy efficient refrigerators, electronic Roger, and so on. Then you can see their 100 million target line there. So stuff to the right of that is big. Stuff to the left of that we'll consider small. Super T is a sort of borderline one, but you can see there's at the top and the lower left is Sir Mix-a-Little, which we thought was destined for destruction. And on the vertical axis, we have the probability of success, what poor Cosgrove is facing. So on the top is projects that are easy. That the horizontal line is 50-50. So cubic balls has got a lot of 95% chance of success. And the one at the bottom there, Rosy Bot, has about a 10% chance of success. So that's hard. Now, a couple things to point out here. On the value scale, there are a lot of very small projects, that whole line up and down. And they probably all need to be improved. I mean, if they're too small, it kind of doesn't matter how small they are. They're just a distractor. But notice that cubic balls has a very high probability of success. So that's truly a base hit. You can probably take an easy shot on that one. In contrast, look at steam clean down towards the bottom, similar kind of value, or solar dryer, but is really incredibly risky. And so these are very different. The ones at the top we call bread and butters, and it's important to have base hits in your mix. And white elephants at the bottom, you probably don't want so many of. If we jump over to the right, you'll see the projects that are also difficult to do, but these have very big possibilities. So these could actually renew the company or change. They're well over the 100 million target. And so these need to be managed really for risk reduction, proving them out, and so on. But these could be great new growth opportunities. There are a number of questions I see about the probability of success. I don't have time to go into that here. Portfolio Navigator has many provisions for measuring the probability of success. There's standard, just sort of direct assessment techniques for those who do it. There's an innovative method of doing it in a standardized way called the maturity matrix, and a couple others. And if you are interested in that, I'm happy to share more on measuring probability of success at some other time. But there are many ways of doing it, and Portfolio Navigator is quite capable of supporting these various methods. Okay, so this is an innovation screen, and what this says is we should really be killing the white elephants and the really small bread and butter. So it gives you greater insight into which ones matter. Now, we think this idea of cutting clutter is actually a little, it's true, and it's also a little naive, because the real question is, how do you improve the portfolio? So let's go and let me show you a kind of more theoretical chart here of this innovation screen with the basic strategies for improving the portfolio. So if you have a high probability project, basically you just need to deliver on it. It's going to work, relatively few curveballs, get on with it and make it happen. If you have a really teeny project, no matter what its probability, it's probably not worth doing. And the lower the probability of success, the less worth doing it is. And so that left side is declutter. You really do want to kill those. Now, there is a kind of asterisk here, which is illustrated by that bigger ideas drive upside element, because a lot, for organizational reasons, people tend to propose projects which are aimed at small targets, but in fact are big ideas. And the process of discovering the full potential of an idea actually takes some time. So if you have a white elephant, you want to put some energy into rehabilitating it if you think that's possible, as I sort of illustrated with breast strips. And that moves projects over to the oyster category. Now, the oyster category is probably not a great place to manage with a traditional stage gate, because you got to prove them out. The probability of success is low. Many of them will in fact fail, but if you can make a few of them succeed, then you're going to drive them up into pearls, which are high probability projects that have big effects, which of course is what everybody wants. So Crazy Code did this, followed these basic strategies. And now I'm going to show you the innovation screen comparing last year to this year. And so here we have again the oranges last year, the colored are this year, and the lines show you how things have moved. So the first thing to notice is sort of along the left edge, zip shoes, speed enhancer, and Sir Mix-a-Lot, Mix-a-Little, and so on. Those are all small projects, and they discovered they didn't really have any significant upside value. So all the things that just have an orange dot were killed. They didn't make it into the future portfolio. The ones that did make into the future portfolio have lines. So you can see breast strips, which started off on the left corner there, really improved a lot and became a pretty solid bread and butter. You can see that Super T was a white elephant and got rehabilitated, crossed that 100 line, and now it's a more interesting project. Flushables on the right. Remember, that was the one that had the better, both Flushables and Oven had big ranges of uncertainty in their business cases. Well, as Flushables works, it tends to find its upside. So that's moving up and to the right. Oven was also a big project, but it had significant downside in its business case. And as this project has proved out, the business case is smaller than we had hoped. It's still pretty good, but you can really see how that goes. So killing projects at the right time allows the portfolio to flourish. If you're one of the killed projects, of course, this looks terrible. But if you look at the whole thing, you see killing those projects is exactly what allows the other ones to move through focus and resources and finding the upside. And so if I pull away the comparison, you can get a view of what the current portfolio looks like for Crazy Co. And you can see there's Oven and Flushables are now pearls. Those are great, high probability, big projects. We still have a number of oysters, Range Top and Solar Dryer and so on. These are big projects. They're hard, so those still need to be incubated and proven out. They're not ready for prime time, but there could be something there. They're bread and butters look much better. Their cubic balls and breast strips and all that are approaching the 100. They're not over on the 100 line, but they're pretty good and they're high probability. So that's good. Turn those through the stage gate. And like many organizations, as time evolves, people propose new projects, and there's a new one there, Audible, which is at present a white elephant and needs to be rehabilitated, given some time, or maybe outright killed. But that would be then the next round of the evaluation. So the thing about this this cutting and the maturing of the portfolio and the improvement of it ultimately lets you meet the business goals and deliver on the kinds of results that the company wants. I think there's been pretty robust Q&A in the chat. Unless someone's got a question, we should probably move to delivering on goals.
Yes, I think we can move along to meeting goals, and please do chime in with any questions. We'll take them at the end as well.
Okay. All right, so meeting goals. We showed this in one of our vignettes about cutting pet projects. And here's Bruce Reese of Corteva. Portfolio Navigator helped us increase our margins by over 400 million over several years. So this kind of continuous improvement improves the quality of the portfolio and the ability to deliver on it. So that's a sort of anecdote. So let's move on to some data. This is from Ken Edwardson. He made a presentation called Delivering $1 Billion. And I want to focus on this presentation. It's just on the next slide here, which is that they're a company that at the time this was done, they were being significantly outspent in R&D relative to their competitors. And they were punching way above their weight in terms of new product introductions. So their portfolio was more effective than their competitive portfolios as part of an integrated process they had been doing, did many things, but including the use of Portfolio Navigator and getting better about the choices they made in their portfolio. And ultimately, over a long time period, that led to like measurable results at the sort of corporate level. So you go to the next one. They had a CAGR goals of 5% in sales growth. They got 6, and EBIT was 16, and they got 23. Now, success has many fathers. I wouldn't attribute all of this to portfolio management, but Ken Edwardson attributed a significant contributor was making better project selections and having the portfolio mature over time, as we've described, by finding upside and cutting clutter. So let's go on now back to Crazy Co. And one of the things Portfolio Navigator can do is simulate the outcomes across many scenarios of a portfolio. So here again, we're looking at the last year view. And what's being shown here in blue is a sort of cone of uncertainty over time about how the revenues are going to be contributed from the portfolio. So you can see that cone gets sort of wider and wider as you move into the future. The scale on the bottom is years. The vertical scale is revenue. And so the blue line represents a median or middle of the road kind of forecast. And the problem here is that their goal is to grow 200 million by 2031. And you can see that the bullseye there is pretty well above the cone of uncertainty. It's wildly optimistic. You can make a story, and if you did your sort of traditional strategic alignment, you show all the ducks line up and how everything had to happen to produce that, but it's really not likely to happen. So this is one of the things, visibility to ability to perform goals often motivates changes in behavior because people don't see the connection. A portfolio is a kind of abstracted thing, and they don't see how their choices really change the picture across many, many projects. So what we have here is an example of what I call Kava-Empter portfolio management. And this is a little cartoon. It's not really a growth portfolio or a value portfolio. It's more of a feel-good portfolio. So what happens in organizations is they're big pressure cookers where everybody's trying to get by. And when you do a portfolio, I mean, there's data and there's analysis and it's a good thing to go forced on data, but at the end of the day, it's a compromise situation usually, and portfolio is about saying no to a lot of things, and everybody wants to go away feeling okay about it. And so portfolio decision making is often done as a sort of social compromise where everybody can feel good about something. And it's countless times I have seen where when everybody feels good about something, the chance of actually accomplishing the goals is pretty low. And people sort of rationalize how they're going to be able to do it, but the objective data just doesn't back up those good feelings. And then, eventually you see decline in performance and fade and so on. And so that's why looking at these and projecting them out is so critical. And my Portfolio Navigator has these kind of things built in. Now, to continue with the Crazy Coast story, we're going to look at last year versus this year. So again, the current year is the one we're looking at is always blue. So time has moved forward. The current year is blue on top. The one we just looked at a couple slides ago is the orange one. And you can see the target is well above the orange trajectory. But it's pretty solidly in the blue cone of uncertainty. And in fact, it's below the baseline, which means it's more likely to be achieved. So the revised portfolio is much more likely to achieve the goal. And as Crazy Co continues nurturing its portfolio, cutting the stuff, finding and driving the upside, this is going to trend upwards as it goes. So I think there is a question, maybe it relates here. When killing projects, do you recommend documenting conditions under which they should be reassessed? Yeah, killing projects, let me comment, there are several ways to say no. One is no with prejudice, right? I shoot it and I never want it to come back again. Another one is kind of not now, so later. Another one is a kind of conditional, like, you're not ready. Maybe breast strips would have been like this. You go back and you say, look, as stated, no, but here's a path. And in the breast strips case, it was a dental endorsement. If you could get a dental endorsement, then this project would be very good to do. So you fund information gathering more than you fund project development. And that's the case with the dental strips and indeed with the OEM vignette we started with. That's a very important way to say no in these projects. And this middle one of what would have to be true or what would you have to demonstrate for us to get really excited about it is probably one of the more powerful ones, because it gives people a path forward and gets them focused out of their comfort zone and making the thing and onto what evidence they really need to deliver to make the business go.
David, there was another question from Ray around, so he's kind of bringing up Clay Christensen, and the quote was, be patient for revenue, impatient for profit. That puts a lot of less emphasis on market size and share in the early days. I think the question kind of goes to this notion of early stage projects versus later stage.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the underlying sentiment, which is if you're losing money on a transaction, it doesn't matter how big the market is, and you need to construct a transaction or find value that a customer will pay for where you actually make some money. And I think that element is really true. If you're chasing a business that has negative profit, and then you're going to somehow make it up in volume, I mean, that's not good. So I totally like that sentiment. However, I think it's also a little dangerous because it's used to justify sloppy thinking. People, they go after the low-hanging fruit of easy to demonstrated profitability without thinking a move ahead about whether or not that market's actually big enough to justify the work. And so you get a sort of random walk kind of element through businesses without visualizing what big success could actually look like. And so in my view, it's very important to visualize the future you're actually trying to create and understand what that looks like and how you get there. Because if you don't do that, you're just going to follow your nose and you leave the overall size of the business success up to chance, even though you may well get a small profitable business, but nothing terrible about that, but it's also nothing to write home about.
The one final question so far from Paul says, is the market, this is more of a product technical integration sort of question, is the market data entered by hand, or does the software have the ability to link to other public databases or ways to update projects assumptions?
Yeah, so I have two answers to this question. The straightforward answer is, of course, it can link to data sources. I mean, it's a powerful, robust platform, and it can do that. I would also, just from my experience, offer a caution here. If you're dealing with an innovation growth portfolio, like I've shown for Crazy Co, what you're actually evaluating in a way, these scenarios for the future, are people's theories of change or of future. And so as you get into these projects, this data is less in the world. This is, I call this the IT fantasy somehow, that like the data is out there about how my new invention is going to change things in the future. And generally it's not. And so I would offer a caution on thinking that the critical data is actually in other databases. And but the software really handles both of those. And I've emphasized in this demo how you want to drive those critical conversations that are going to make those great futures visible, de-risk them appropriately, and drive alignment and some of these conflict issues and some of these attachment issues through evidence and data. So I hope that answers your question, Paul.
All right, well, we're getting very close to the end here. So maybe try to move into kind of a wrap up, I guess. So just as a reminder, we're talking about Portfolio Navigator here. We've articulated a few scenarios around driving project upside, cutting clutter, and then ultimately bigger goals around improving portfolio results and meeting goals. So again, we're drawing from the experiences we've had over the last 25 years. And what's important to sort of recognize is we've given you a snapshot view of what Portfolio Navigator is capable of. Ultimately, it's a very robust software system that's going to help turn your data into decision intelligence. So that's the key takeaway here. Yes, we can have those roll-ups and dashboards, but it's really about improving the decision-making that's at the heart of this. So we asked earlier about business outcomes, and I was able to kind of pull some relative data here based on our responses. So when we think about which of these business outcomes, it was certainly finding new growth and fighting the fade was the clear I guess winner, call it, most prominent business outcome people are after. And then a lot of parity when it comes to the rest, cutting clutter, driving upside. A few of those other categories came into play here. So this doesn't really surprise me. Does it surprise you, David?
Not really. I mean, when companies get mature and they actually have big portfolios, they've often been chasing a technology for a long time. In that DuPont example, fighting the fade was very important. And, they were trying to do more with Tyvek. Tyvek is a 50-year-old product. And it's got a long life ahead of it. But that's an incremental improvement trajectory. And there's a lot of fade and competition. So finding something that drives renewal is critically important. And a lot of the innovation screen can be very helpful to find that, because it gives you the projects that are really big and can renew something. So it's helpful to give that kind of visibility. I would also say, one of the things people do when they're fighting the fade is they don't set their ambition high enough. They're like, well, if we could just get a couple million, that would be great. That's incremental thinking. And that's part of why they have to fight fade. And back to the question about Clay Christensen, it's very important to visualize things that might make a big difference. Dream, what do they say? Dream big and then act small. So that dream big part is pretty important.
All right, last call for questions. Just a reminder about SmartOrg. We're a capability building company. We've got two main software products, Innovation Navigator and Portfolio Navigator. We also offer professional services to help get you up and running, offer training, help you think through some of these tougher situations that you might be in to help drive the right outcomes you're after. If you'd like to learn more about SmartOrg, you can visit our website, smartorg.com. And then, of course, we'd love for you to get in touch with us. You can do that either by email. We have David and my emails here. We're also, of course, on LinkedIn. We'd love to connect with you if we're not already. And then if you have a desire to get in touch, please click that button. That'll give you access to the slides. You can set up a one-on-one demo. You can talk through a portfolio problem you're having, or even explore Innovation Navigator if that's up your sleeve as well. So look for last call for questions. Oh, Andrew has one more. Any thoughts on introducing probability of success to companies that don't already estimate this explicitly?
Yeah, so this is a deeper question, and I would be happy to talk with you about it. But I think one of the hurdles is that probability of success often comes across as very analytical, and so they get some resistance there. And the other is that it's very squishy. So I had an executive who once told me, this probability thing is just a way for them to lie, so I can't hold them accountable. So they say, here's this big dream, and then here, but the probability is only 30%. And what that means is the person's not accountable. So I think there is really some resistance. Some of this is of our own doing, being too technical, and some of it is real about the way organizations work, accountability. So that's a little background. So what does that actually mean? How can you introduce this idea? And this is the maturity matrix, which I didn't talk about. But the key is to focus on communication about uncertainty rather than the analysis of uncertainty. So you get people to talk about why, if they have a business case, you say, well, what is the standard of evidence that makes you believe that is true? And so maybe they've made a market study or something, or a price study, and you say, well, what is the data? What is the quality of the data that actually supports it? And I found this to be a very effective way into a probability of success conversation, because sometimes the answer is, oh, we just made it up. We hope we can get, $10 per unit. That's a low probability of success, or an immature kind of argument. And sometimes they say, oh, we've run a little test market, and this is the clearing price, and against 12 competitors. You're like, okay, there's reason to believe that. And so I have gotten a lot more traction with probability of success in skeptical environments by focusing on the maturity of the evidence that supports the assumption, and focusing on communication. Because when people see a business case, they just see a bunch of assumptions. They don't really have any sense of how mature it is. So that's a longer discussion I'd be happy to have with you or anybody. And I think we're going to be out of time. Thank you so much. Appreciate your interest in SmartOrg and in Portfolio Navigator. It's been great having an opportunity to present to all of you. Doug, any last words?
Just another word of thanks. Appreciate you all, and get in touch if you'd like to chat more. Thanks for coming.
Bye.